Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, it is Tuesday morning, September 18th, and you are listening to The Scout Team with Scout Team Sports. I am one of your gracious hosts.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
And I take that as a compliment. And I'm excited to be here tonight because this morning, because we're coming off a great Monday Night Football matchup where defense reigned supreme. We got to see a magical defensive display by the man with the giant contract known as Khalil Mack. And that's not the Mac with the golden mic like we like to have here on our show. That's the real Khalil Mack doing it how he should be doing it in Chicago. We've also got a ton of stuff to cover from this past weekend in NFL football. Yesterday, we went college football heavy. Today, we can go NFL heavy. We're excited because the NFL week was a crazy week in football. I say one of the biggest topics that I'm sure we're going to dive in a little bit deeper here is kickers, man. You know, a lot of times we sit there and say, oh, kicker's not a big deal. Maybe the kicker doesn't make a big difference. Man, this weekend showed us that kickers matter. If you have a good kicker in the NFL and in college football, you are set. If you do not, you can lose those games. You can lose a lot of the games, those close three-point games. Over in Cleveland, our good friends over there with the Browns, they already see it coming. They know that having a bad kicker can lose you some games. Big loss over there to the Saints this past weekend for a team that's trying to pull that program out of the gutter. They need a kicker. Also, the Vikings, same story. They end their game in a tie, and having a kicker could have been the difference on the day for the Vikings. So a lot of kicker controversy going on in the NFL. Big news coming out of New England camp. We've got a signing, a trade over Josh Gordon. Flash moves over from Cleveland to New England. Wow, this story is developing, and I don't know what to think of this one. This is going to be interesting to see if Josh Gordon can pull it together. And if he can, the possibilities of Tom Brady throwing the ball to Flash Gordon, it reminds me of Randy Moss on the Patriots in 2007. That could be an unstoppable duo. And I'm just saying, I don't want to see that. I don't want the Patriots to be the juggernauts like they always are. I don't want to see what could happen. But if it happens, it's going to be fun to watch. Looking forward to that. Vontae Davis with the halftime retirement. Going to go dig a little deeper into that. Talking a little Seahawks, Bears, Monday night matchup. Bortles mania is in full effect. Deshaun Jackson makes some comments about who he thinks should be the starting quarterback on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we're going to have what's trending on Twitter Tuesday, as we have each and every Tuesday. But I did want to take a second to thank all the listeners out there. Right now, you are listening to us on 12ouncesportsradio.com. We are the Scout Team. You can listen to us every Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. And you can catch our West Coast replay. Comes on at 11 a.m. every Monday through Friday. We also do our Wednesday nights after dark show. It is every Wednesday night, 7:30 to 9 o'clock, again on 12ouncesportsradio.com. And if you have missed any of our old shows, or if you can't catch the live show at 11 or 6, and it is 3:30 in the afternoon, and you just need to get that fix, you're at work and you're starting to drag, and you need a little bit of an adrenaline pump, you know, all you have to do is go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you can find podcasts or our website, scoutteamradio.com, and you can get all of the great podcasts that are available out there. And additionally, our radio station, 12ouncesportsradio.com, make sure you visit the website. We are not just a radio station. We have great blogs going on out there. We've got sports writers from all over the sports landscape, and they are putting in the good work. So make sure you go to the website, check out the blogs. We've got a lot of great sponsors on the website. We've got tons of sponsors that help out with sports gear. If you're looking for your favorite NFL team gear, if you're looking to book tee times like a pro, all of that's on our website. So make sure you check it out. But without further ado, I just want to go ahead and introduce the man, the myth, the legend, and that would be the great patriot himself.
Yeah, it's your boy Chris America coming to you live every Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., sometimes 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. I don't know what was going on. I had some technical difficulties, but I'm here, and I'm ready to talk some football, man. I heard you talking about some kickers. I heard you talking about my boy Conor McGregor over in Tampa. So what's going on, man?
Man, there's so much to talk about. It's hard to get started on one particular subject, but last night was a great Monday Night Football matchup. Luckily, we did not have any kicker controversy last night like we've had all weekend long. But let's start it off with the kickers, man. The kickers don't get the love that they deserve, but I do want to talk about this. So the NFL over the weekend had 12 missed field goals and 7 missed extra points. So I'm telling you right now, the kicker matters. A team like New England, who had won 3 Super Bowls off of the leg of Adam Vinatieri, will tell you that the kicker matters. They come back and they get Steven Gostkowski, who has been so good for so many years for New England, and a team like that has a winning culture. If you do not have a good kicker, you have trouble winning those tight games and having a winning culture. And that is the problem in Cleveland. They don't have a winning culture, and they don't have a kicker that can step up and have ice in his veins and do what he's got to do, and that's win the game. So 2 weeks in a row, we've had opportunities for Cleveland to win these games, and when it was on the line, they just couldn't do it. So Zane Gonzalez, kicker for Cleveland, done. Cut him. He's out. You think that was a good move by Cleveland?
I think that was a great move by Cleveland. A kicker is like your big toe. You don't know you need it when it's working right, but when it's not working right or when it's in pain, you notice your big toe the entire time. And that's pretty much what kickers are like. When kickers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, you don't think of them as people. You think they're just there to, help you get a couple of points instead of going away with no points. But you don't really care about a kicker. But when your kicker misses 3 field goals like the Minnesota Vikings kicker did, you absolutely hate your kicker. You think having an awful kicker is the worst thing ever, and you're ready to pay $50 million to the person that can make 100% of his kicks.
Yeah, and in the case with the Browns kicker, even LeBron James was on Instagram, throwing out just heat, saying, what is this guy doing? I can't stand this Browns kicker. And then you got the Vikings. Now, both teams were smart. Minnesota and Cleveland both cut their kickers after this performance Sunday. Now, I had mentioned the Vikings kicker in preseason. I don't know if you recall this, but I called him the Roberto Aguayo of this year. He's a rookie. He came out. He had a phenomenal college career. They had high hopes for him. Blair Walsh had some history of missing important field goals, so they were wanting to move on from the Blair Walsh project. They bring in this guy, Carlson, and they're ready for it. Well, he missed 2 field goals in preseason that were easy chip shot field goals. I believe he missed a field goal last week, but he misses 3 field goals this week for Minnesota. That's it. You're done. Minnesota has too high of expectations to count on a guy that stinks this bad. And so they bring in one of the most accurate kickers of all time, and that would be Cowboys legend Dan Bailey, who I was shocked when the Cowboys cut him earlier this year. But Dan Bailey should come in and fix this problem. I believe Dan Carlson and Zane Gonzalez and these bad kickers, it's like having a really bad ingrown toenail. Sometimes you just got to pull that stuff out. Sorry, my language. Pull that stuff out and move on, cut it off, and when it grows back nicely and healed, that's when you get Dan Bailey.
First of all, a guy that has a 73% career free throw percentage should not be criticizing a guy that kicks an ob-shaped ball 35 to 50 yards in distance. So I'll throw that one out there.
You're just hating on LeBron James. You are the biggest LeBron James hater ever. I think LeBron James can say that because he brought a championship to Cleveland. Can Zane Gonzalez say that about Cleveland?
I think Kyrie Irving brought a championship to Cleveland, but that's neither here nor there. Basketball season's 2 months away. Just saying those who are in glass houses shouldn't throw stones as far as accuracy and easy shots goes. But yeah, I think Minnesota Vikings have taken care of this problem. It's insane that this kicker was a free agent to begin with this late in the season, especially with how many extra points we've seen missed. Once they backed up the ball from the extra points, I think kickers lost their mind. They didn't know how to overcome it. And I think college football should back it up as well to help prepare these guys for this because they're so used to these chip shots that once they backed it up, what was that now, 3 years ago or was it 2 years ago? Either way, it was within 2 or 3 years ago. We've seen a lot of missed extra points, and these were field goals that these guys were making all the time. I don't remember this many 20-yard field goals being missed as they're missing all of these extra points.
Yeah, I don't even know how this is going. It's happening. I agree with you. I mean, it doesn't seem like this was such an issue until they moved it back. And you're right. On the field goals, it was just not a big deal. But I'm actually glad they moved it back. It makes it a little bit less automatic. When it was 99.7% of the time extra points were made, I mean, why even kick it? Just go ahead and give them the point. Why even bother? Now, it's a little bit, you have to work for it. Just that extra, 5 or 10 yards back, whatever they pushed it back, it makes a huge difference. And now you might see some of these better contracts coming in for kickers. I think Dan Bailey was cut because of a cost-cutting move. He was getting to be expensive. He had been on the team for a long time. Because he had such great performance, they said, you know what, kickers are expendable. Let's go ahead and not pay the man what he deserves and move on from him. And you know what? Some of these guys, these guys need to get paid. I saw on Twitter, I saw a little bit of a joke tweet, and it said after the game when the Browns ended up losing, it said, the Cleveland Browns are looking to sign Dan Bailey to a 5-year, $150 million contract. You know why they said that? Because the value of a kicker when you lose a game and you're the Browns and you haven't won a game in almost 2 years, it's so valuable. It doesn't matter what you pay. You want somebody to go in there and win you the game, and they need to win so bad. It doesn't even matter. They just want a guy to go in there and win them that game. And it was sad. I almost cried in my beer. I thought that Bud Light Cleveland Browns cooler would finally have got cracked open. And I'm just waiting for that day. One of these days in the near future, that cooler is going to get cracked open. And all those fans in Cleveland, they'll be happy with their really ice-cold Bud Light. And then they're going to drink that and go order a real beer.
Well, I think the real problem we learned from the Vikings-Packers game is we need a different overtime rules. I'm sorry, these ties aren't working. 2 weeks in a row we're getting the ties. I feel like ties are becoming more and more of a thing over the last couple of years. And we always say that the good thing about the NFL is because the teams are so closely talented. There's not a huge gap like you have in college football when, say, Alabama plays Ole Miss. You don't have that big talent gap. But so if we're not going to have this big talent gap and we're going to have teams that are so, close in talent, we need different tie rules. We can't have these ties going on over and over and over again. Why not adopt some form of the college football tie rules? I mean, we need something else than this one quarter, and if it ends in a tie, it's a tie.
Well, I think what's kind of brought this on is the new overtime rule as far as only doing 10 minutes instead of 15, because that little bit of time,
that's true.
that extra 5 minutes could have helped a team get a field goal, and that now we're seeing having a big effect on the year because we've already had 2 ties. Now, last year, I think this was the first year for this new rule, and we had a couple ties last year, and the tie was usually a very rare thing. You might see one once a year, once every couple years. Last year, we had a couple. This year, we're in week 3. We've already had 2. And, yeah, I think a lot of football fans, a lot of diehards are really not a big fan of this tie situation because, I think as Americans, we want to know who the winner is. When you look at soccer as a league in Europe, they all think ties are great. That's normal. No. Here in America, we need winners. We're patriots. We love to know who's going to win the battle. We don't go in shooting for a tie. We go in for the win. And we can't just walk away from an epic battle where it's warriors, it's gladiators going up against each other, knocking heads for an entire 3.5 to 4 hour game. And at the end we say, well, we were basically the same. We tied. Good game, guys.
Good game,
This
guys.
was great. I appreciate all your hard work.
Especially since these two ties are between division rivals. I mean, this is going to affect down the long run as to who's going to win each division. I don't know how you go through tie breaks when you have a tie, so we'll see how it goes. But bigger stories going on also. Steelers remain winless in the 2018 season. Is this a cause of concern for you, Loudbeard, or do you think they still have maybe 4 or 5 weeks? I have a tweet for you I want to read after you give your take, or maybe I should give it to you now. But basically, some sort of front office guy who's no longer with the Steelers tweeted out yesterday. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Tweeted out yesterday that his name is Ryan Scarpino. AB, as in Antonio Brown, needs to thank his lucky stars because he was drafted by a team that had Ben, and Ben got AB paid. You know darn well he wouldn't put up those numbers for other teams. And, of course, Antonio Brown saw this and said, trade me, let's find out. Is there, with the Le'Veon Bell thing, and now we got some old guy who was there last year. He was with the Steelers until last season, and he's tweeting out that AB doesn't belong there, or he should be thankful for Big Ben, and he's not as good as everybody says he is. Is there some cause for concern in Pittsburgh?
I don't think the cause for concern has anything to do with AB. I think this is just a media guy or a former executive or front office guy with the Steelers just mouthing off. I mean, that noise just needs to go away. Antonio Brown feeds into that. He gets himself all hyped up, and he did. He said, trade me then, trade me, whatever. Nobody's trading you, AB. AB right now he's producing between him, Juju Schuster-Smith, Big Ben. The offense isn't the problem. The problem is the defense, and the concern over with the Pittsburgh Steelers, even if they brought back Le'Veon Bell and then paid the man or did whatever they could to get him on the field, they are still in a situation where their defense stinks. And I'm sorry, you can score 40 points, but if your opponent scores 50, you're not going to win. And you can't have these high-scoring games, no matter how good your offense is, and win. And right now, there is concern for the Steelers. They haven't won yet. Now, they did have that monumentous tie against the Cleveland Browns, so it's not like it's all they're all out of it yet. I mean, they're not 0-2, they're 0-1-1, but there should be concern there. There should be a little bit of concern for, are we going to be able to get ourselves back into the season? The Bengals are sitting at the top of the division, 2-0, and they looked good. Andy Dalton looks at the top of his game, which, is being an average quarterback. And A.J. Green lit it up on Thursday Night Football. So, yeah, they got to worry about the Bengals. They've got to worry about the Browns, who they tied with. And it's just going to get more competitive. But that noise on the side with AB and mouthing off, I don't think that's the biggest problem. I think their biggest problem is their defense.
Yeah, when it's coming down to wild card time or division time, there's a huge difference between 10-6 and 9-8-1. You know what I mean? Or 9-7-1. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge difference. And, you bring that up, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this, and I think it would be a good segue, but there's a lot of teams out there right now that are 0-2 that I might not be that worried about, or maybe they don't have a win, like the Cleveland Browns, like the Steelers, like last night, the Seattle Seahawks. I'm worried about them. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to end up being okay, maybe with like a 6 or 7 win season. But there are 2 teams out there that I believe are going to make this an interesting race to be the first ones to 0-16 this year. I feel like every year there's a team that I think is going to be 0-16. And, the Bills came off to a really great fast start with really blowing it week 1. But there's another team that's coming up and bringing up the rear. So I just wanted to throw this out there to you, Chris America. the Cardinals and the Bills. Who's going to be who is the worst 0-2 team right now out of those two teams? I mean, there's got to be other 0-2 teams that are okay, like the Seahawks, but man, the Bills and the Cardinals, they look like trash.
Man, it's like 1A, 1B. I don't see both of these teams going 0-16. I would be even more surprised if, one of them went 0-16. These could be two teams that both finish 1-15 or 2-14. I don't know who these teams are going to beat. I don't know what the Cardinals are doing with Josh Rosen on the bench. I don't know if they ever brought him in or if Sam Bradford's still quarterbacking because I didn't pay attention to their game at all. I looked at the Rams score and checked out my guys on the Rams team on my fantasy team, and that was it. I didn't look at anything from that Arizona Cardinals sideline. I know Larry Fitzgerald got dinged up, so that doesn't make any matters better for them over there. But I have to say, I guess I would have to say the Bills. No, it's too much. It's too much. It's too close to call, man. 1A, 1B, flip a coin. I can't decide. They're both really bad. They've both had blown out losses. Josh Allen did not look that good at all. He was missing a lot of his passes, and they weren't even passes that were where he was under pressure. He was sitting in the pocket and he just missed. He couldn't hit the side of a barn on a lot of his throws, and it was bad. So I don't know. I'll go with them because I don't know how good or bad Bradford or Rosen look over there in Arizona.
See, I think I firmly have to go with the Bills, though the Cardinals have looked atrocious. They made my Redskins look like world beaters week 1. And then the Rams, of course. The Rams are a great team, though, so it's hard to gauge it on that. That's like your Alabama-Ole Miss reference. The Rams are looking more like Alabama, and the Cards are looking a little bit more like Ole Miss. But, in that game, I just as a side note, the Rams don't have a kicker problem. Their kicker doesn't even play, and they end up putting their punter in, and their punter makes a field goal and makes an extra point, and they end up going for 3 2-point conversions, make all 3 of them. But I guess when you're playing the Cardinals, it doesn't matter because they're so terrible. You can just do whatever you want, and you don't have to worry about a kicker. And so we talk about the 0-2 teams, which, 0-2. But there's a lot of 2-0 teams. Out of those 2-0 teams, and I'm gonna list them off here real quick. Man, which one of these do you think is the for real? I guess we'll do one AFC, one NFC. You tell me the 2 for real teams that you think are actually legit. So we've got Rams, Bucks, Chiefs, Broncos, Jags, Bengals, and the great Miami Dolphins. Out of those teams, who do you think are the for real 2-0 teams?
I mean, this is easy. It's the Rams and the Chiefs by far, and the other teams aren't even close. If you took out those teams, I'd have to really look at them and see. I'm still not a believer in the Dolphins. I'm still not a believer in the Bucks. Those are 2 teams that I'm very low on. But maybe I'll have to change my tune by week 4, week 5, week 6. We'll know more about those teams. But I mean, it's really easy. The Rams and the Chiefs could very well be our Super Bowl game come February. Those 2 teams look very good on offense. Now, the Chiefs, surprisingly, aren't that good on defense. I don't know if the fact that they're putting up 10 touchdown passes in 2 games kind of creates that shootout type game where your defense is off the field for 3 minutes, and the next thing you know, your offense scores, and you got to get back in. I don't know if that's why they've been so bad on offense or defense these last couple of weeks. But, I mean, what do they surrender 37 to Pittsburgh and around 27-28 to the Chargers? You're not going to win many games with a defense like that in the playoffs, so they got to shore that up. But the Rams overall, they looked really good.
Yeah, I have to 100% agree with you on the Rams, but I'm not buying 100% into the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs have a little bit of ways to go. Mahomes is looking fantastic, but it is still week 2. He's a young quarterback. Once some of these other teams start game planning a little bit better for him, you might see that change a little bit. So I'm not all in on Patrick Mahomes, but I do need to give him the credit he deserves. As we talked about yesterday quite a bit, he has 10 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks, which is the fastest player to get to 10 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks of an NFL season. So he's looking great. But you're right, I think the defense. Now, a team on the AFC side that the defense is definitely legit, definitely for real, and they have possibly the best quarterback in all of the NFL, and that would be the GOAT, #BortlesMania, and that would be the Jags. to me, on the AFC side, the 2-0 Jags are legit. They are for real. They beat the New England Patriots, who were the AFC champions last year. And I have to give more credit to my Jags than to your Chiefs. So AFC, I'm going Jags. And I would say Chiefs would be a close second. And surprisingly, I wasn't high on them at the beginning of the year. I got to give a little love to the Bengals. I think the Bengals are a legit 2-0. But Dolphins, I can't have any faith in the Dolphins. I don't know how they've won their first 2 games, but they did it. So if they didn't win any other games the rest of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if they go 10-6. Hey, good for them. So we'll see how the Dolphins end up playing out. And the Bucks, I mean, is this Fitzmagic in a bottle, or is this actually a good team? Man, the world may never know.
Well, the thing about the Bucks is they should get a little bit of hope from these 2 wins because it was against possible NFC Championship contender, the New Orleans Saints. They should have been in the NFC Championship, but they, messed up on that one play and they weren't. And then you have the Super Bowl champs in the Eagles. They beat both of these teams and they shredded both of those defenses and made their offenses. I know the Saints scored 41 points, but 14 of those points came up when the Bucks were up by 21. So the Bucks kind of let their defense slack a little bit because they were up by so many points, and we saw that's when Drew Brees finally was able to get some breathing room and score some points. Now, Foles had a really good game against their defense. That was sort of a back-and-forth game, but nonetheless, they still beat those teams. You're right, though. We got to see what's going on with Fitzmagic. We have to know if it's a thing that's going to last for long. This is his last week as the true starting quarterback. We'll see what Coach Cutter does, what decision he makes on Jameson and Fitzpatrick. So we were a little harsh on the Buccaneers, and I think we shouldn't be as harsh on them. And you're right about the Dolphins. They've played the Jets and the Titans. I don't know what you can make about beating those 2 teams, but I wouldn't put too much stock into it. That's all I know.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, I did hear good news on the interweb. I heard that Coach Deshaun Jackson of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has went ahead and made a statement. And so Coach Deshaun Jackson, who thinks that he should be making the decisions over there in Tampa, he says about Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's playing on fire right now. The way the team is rallying behind him and just playing lights-out football, you have to kind of honor that. You can't take out the hot man. He's on fire right now. It's like NBA Jam. Whoever's got the hot fire shot, you've got to keep shooting. So Coach Deshaun Jackson of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has said he wants to keep his man hot, Ryan Fitzpatrick, in. And you know what? I don't blame him for coming out and saying that because Ryan Fitzpatrick, all he knows how to do is throw the ball downfield to Deshaun Jackson, and it's working. And Deshaun Jackson had a ho-hum season last year. A lot of critics were down on him because they thought maybe he lost a step. He comes out this year, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is making him look like the superstar he used to be in Philadelphia, and I think he appreciates that. And he wants the quarterback that's going to get him the ball downfield. And maybe Jameis wasn't doing that the way he should have been. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, you got to go for it. Bucks are 2-0. Man, it's great. It's great to see that. It's great to see a local team. We're here in the Central Florida area, seeing one of our local teams, both the Jags and the Bucks, starting out 2-0, and the Dolphins. So I've never said this, but maybe Florida is a better NFL state than a college football state. What do you think, Chris America?
Well, I mean, between the 4 major programs in the state of Florida, only one of them is undefeated, and the other 3 look kind of ho-hum right now. We don't know what to make of Miami. They got blown out by LSU. Florida is Florida, and Florida State is a hot pile of garbage, and UCF is the defending national champion who's picking up where they left off. So without UCF in that mix, if UCF hadn't built themselves up to the national powerhouse that they are, Florida football would look awful right now in college, and that's not normal. It's not normal to see, all 3 of the the bigger time, the historical programs to be really bad while all 3 teams in NFL are undefeated. I don't know if I've ever seen the Bucks, Jags, and the Dolphins undefeated through 2 weeks. We'll see how that pans out. I think, obviously, you'd rank them. The Jags are set. They're solid. They're not going anywhere. All the naysayers, they got shut up this past weekend when Bortles threw 45 passes, over 300 yards, and what do you have, like 4 touchdowns, 1 interception? Just a phenomenal game. And that defense shut down Tom Brady. The only time the Patriots really ever did anything was when the Jags made a mistake. So that shows that they're in control. Buccaneers, we've already said what we had to say about Buccaneers and Dolphins. So, but yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Now, we're up against the commercial break, Chris America. On the flip side, we will talk about the return of Flash Gordon.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. "12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst."
Oh, guess who it is? Did you know the station had a janitor? Oh yeah, the Hefe, otherwise known as Beck. And it's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-Ounce Sports Radio every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch interviews, special guests, and the recap of the week's news and headlines and box scores and results. It's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-Ounce Sports Radio.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-Ounce Sports Radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb. Do you own a small business? Are you looking for solutions to all of your communications, problems, and challenges that you have? Check out Ring Central. Give them a call. They have partnered with 12ouncesportsradio.com to give you the best rates on all of your business and office solutions for communication. Give them a call today. We have a dedicated line for all of the 12-ounce sports radio listeners. It is 1-877-779-3860. You will get a representative on the phone who will help you with all of your small business communications needs. Once again, give them a call today, 1-877-779-3860. Yeah, welcome back on this beautiful Tuesday morning. You are listening to the Scout Team, and we are presenting you with Scout Team Sports. We're coming at you every Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. and 11 a.m. on 12ouncesportsradio.com. 12ouncesportsradio.com is one of the most premier sports internet radio stations that you can find on the interweb. And what an amazing lineup we have ahead of you today. So just to give you a little bit of a tease on what's going to be coming up on the station today, you can always listen to us, the Scout Team, at 6 and 11, like I had mentioned. At 8 a.m., we get to hear Clutch Talk Sports, one of our affiliates over at Sports Radio America. And then at noon, we get to hear College Credit Hour. Again, another affiliate from Sports Radio America. Memphis Spence at College Credit Hour puts on a really awesome show. I can't say enough about this guy. Make sure you check that out. Then later on in the day, we've got Bar Down Radio, Stick and Rink, Family Divided, and then Captain Lou's comes on tonight. Captain Lou does Pucks and Pigskins. It's a live show at 8 p.m. It is a great show. Make sure you guys tune in, check it out. And then Big Blue Views is on tonight at 10. So we've got a great lineup ahead of us today on the radio station. We want to make sure our listeners check out some of these other shows, give them a listen. A lot of great material out there, a lot of great personalities that we interact with on a regular basis, and we want to make sure that everybody out there is getting the love that they deserve. Chris America, are you giving everybody the love that they deserve?
I am, and every time you talk about Captain Lou's show, I think you say pugs and pigskins, and I think that would be a phenomenal show as well, to talk about pugs and pigskins.
Isn't that the name of the show? Isn't it about little doggies and football?
Yes, it would be awesome.
All right, good.
So before we move on to any other topics, we were talking about undefeated teams, and we missed over three teams, and I want to know what your take is. Two teams that are undefeated that aren't 2-0, but they're still undefeated are the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings, which I think we would both agree that they're probably playoff contenders and can make a deep run in the playoffs. But there's another team we didn't discuss that's 2-0, and they're a sneaky 2-0. I don't think many people realize they're 2-0, and that is the Denver Broncos. What do you think about the Denver Broncos through 2 weeks, Loudbeard?
You know, I like the Broncos. I think they still have a great defense. Von Miller still at the height of his game, and they brought in Case Keenum. And, you know, last year we all kind of put it on the back burner. Oh, it's just Case Keenum. He's not going to be able to do this all year. And then by the end of the year with the Vikings, we said, wow, Case Keenum had a great year. He brought this team on the brink of greatness, and they made a nice deep run into the playoffs. And, you know, the Vikings moved on. They picked up Kirk Cousins, and Case Keenum lands in Denver. Denver is the perfect situation. They have been a absolute train wreck at quarterback for the last few years. They have not been able to figure out their quarterback situation. And I think Case Keenum is finally pulling that together. They have talented wide receivers, Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. And then you also have young running backs who are starting to get their groove. And you know what? I think this team can pull it together. After having an abysmal year last year because of that quarterback situation, having Paxton Lynch and Trevor Siemian and not knowing who the starter is, and then when you start one of them, they're bad, and then you say you want to start the other one, and that one's bad. You have no idea what you're doing at quarterback in an organization that has John Elway running it, who is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He needed his guy. He hasn't had his guy since Peyton Manning retired, and they finally found their guy. Case Keenum is going to do great things over in Denver. I just think the AFC is really tough. And when you look at teams like New England and you look at teams like Jacksonville and the Chiefs, it's going to be hard sledding for the Broncos, but I have been pleasantly surprised with Case Keenum's play and how well the Broncos have been doing.
Yeah, I think we having a hard time learning who they are just yet because they've played Seattle, who's winless, and Oakland, who's winless. Their next 4 games, I think we'll know. They have at Baltimore, Kansas City at home, at Jets, and then the Los Angeles Rams. I think once we go on Monday, October 15th show, I think we'll know exactly who the Broncos are, and they could either be a 4-2 team, or they could be worse. They could be 2-4, or they could be just 3-3. But we'll find out a lot about this Broncos team throughout the next 4 weeks.
I 100% agree with you. And you mentioned the Vikings and Packers. Yeah, I think both of you and I agree that these are two great teams, that the Vikings have a great defense. The Packers have Aaron Rodgers. As long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, they're going to be competitive no matter what. Really, two potential NFC champions going at it in the Vikings and the Packers. So seeing the two of them go at it, yeah, they're undefeated. I mean, the tie kind of, they're not a 2-0 team, but I mean, I can't say that either of those teams look bad. I think they both look great, and they both missed field goals. We talked about the kickers earlier. That was easily one of those teams could have won, but they didn't. And man, both of them look great. Now, Chris America, I'm going to switch gears for just a second, and we'll get back to football. But I always like on Tuesdays to do a little bit of what's trending on Twitter. So I've got a couple little stories here. We've been footballing it up, so let's get a little out of football. I don't know if you knew this or not, but today is hashtag National Cheeseburger Day, and that is trending right now on Twitter. So if you want to talk about your favorite cheeseburgers on Twitter, everybody's going to love to hear it. If you want to talk about your favorite ingredients, your favorite toppings, today is National Cheeseburger Day. show some respect to the cheeseburger and give it a hashtag out there on Twitter today. Chris America, you a cheeseburger guy?
I am, and the thing I love about a cheeseburger is even the worst cheeseburger you can have is still pretty good. It's not great, and you're not going to go, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over it, but you're never really truly disappointed unless you're expecting something great. If the burger's dry, then you're done. To me, a dry cheeseburger is really the only bad cheeseburger, and that's what I love about a cheeseburger. They're easy to make, they're fast to make, and when you have a really, really good cheeseburger, life is good.
I agree with you. I think the only cheeseburgers I don't like is when they're out there on the grill and let's say the grill master forgets to check on them, and then it starts firing it up and it ends up being like a little like charcoal brick, and then they throw cheese on it to try to make it good. It's all dried out. It's hard. That's the cheeseburger I don't like. But any other cheeseburger I love. Now, also trending on Twitter, Kanye teases a follow-up to Yeezus. I believe he says it's going to be called Sweet Baby Yeezus. Seth Rogen is blowing people's mind by telling them that the second player controller controlled the duck in the game Duck Hunt. So 25 years later, we're still talking Duck Hunt. Did you know that the second player controller controlled the duck?
I did. Is that for real?
Yeah, this is a tweet Seth Rogen sent out. It's been retweeted like 59,000 times.
I thought
because
Seth
people
Rogen said he was putting down the weed. That sounds like a high tweet to me.
I totally think it's a high tweet too. But yeah, on his tweet, he sends it out just casual, like, hey, just a hot tip for today, guys. Hot tip Tuesday, or maybe he sent it out yesterday because it's gotten so much traction already. Just throwing it out there, guys.
Well,
just so you know, the second player controller controlled the duck in Duck Hunt. And then all of a sudden, Twitter crashed. Everybody's like, what?
I have my old Nintendo. I'm going to have to hook it up today and see if that's true. And then back to your Yeezus comment with Kanye West. I think Ricky Bobby's going to love these Sweet Baby Yeezus because that's the Yeezus he loves to pray to is the baby Yeezus.
Sweet Baby Yeezus. Sweet Baby Yeezus. I like it. Yeah, Kanye, he always gets, traction on Twitter. So last night was the Emmys. I didn't care because it was Monday Night Football. I guess they realized people that watch the Emmys aren't football people. So they have that. Apparently there was a live marriage proposal in there by some director that nobody knew. So that apparently is all over Twitter. And now here's another big story that could be good for everybody in the world. The new iOS operating system has a screen time feature where you can limit the amount of phone usage on your phone. So I guess you can go in and say, okay, I don't want to have the phone work more than 2 hours a day. So if you get to the point where you're over tweeting or if you're looking at your phone too much, I don't know if it shuts down or locks or does something, but you can limit the amount of screen time. So maybe the world will stop being zombies and looking down at their phone all day. I don't know, but iOS, man, they're coming out with the features. Good for parents, though.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I was looking down at my phone.
That's so funny. Hold on. There you go.
You're so slow on those, man.
Well, you know what? I have the commercials up, so I have to switch over to a different soundboard. So I wasn't really preparing to have that, but it was so good. Hold on. You get this, too? And
excuses are like armpits. They all stink.
All right, so I'm soundboarded it up. But, that's what's trending on Twitter. I like Twitter because it is such a huge, just diverse area of news. I actually get most of my news off of Twitter. If something's trending or a topic is going on right now, I can look on there, and I always see what's going on. So that was what was trending on Twitter. And the other things trending in the sports world, the biggest news story, in my opinion, Josh Gordon getting traded to the New England Patriots. I've got a lot of layers to this, Chris America. What do you think about this trade?
This trade, to me, just sucks for the NFL. It really does. I believe it was you who said this on Twitter, but maybe you can give it a thinker or stinker on this one, that the Browns are just the minor league team for the Patriots. And it's true. I don't understand why the Patriots are the one that ended up with this guy. Like, no other team needs a wide receiver. None of you guys could have given up something better for. I'm looking at you, Panthers. Like, what are we doing? Like, we don't have that many weapons on wide receiver. I would love to have Josh Gordon on my team. I would love to roll the dice on this headache. And the worst part about this trade is if Josh Gordon remains inactive through I think week 10, then the Patriots get their pick back. So there's no risk in this pick other than maybe he comes into the locker room and becomes a cancer. But if Josh Gordon continues to go through his problems of not playing, then the Patriots risked absolutely nothing to get this guy. So it was a win-win for the Patriots. And what are the Browns going to do with a 5th-round pick? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. When I first heard this story, I was kind of perplexed. You've gone through all these trials and tribulations with Josh Gordon, and you finally get to the season after years and years of this headache, and you cut him after week 1, or then you come out and announce that you're going to cut him, and teams start calling about inquiries about whether they could trade for him, and so then you say, okay, we're going to trade him, and then I hear a story, oh, we don't want to trade him to the AFC, so I'm thinking, okay, well, now one of these NFC teams will give him a shot, and it comes out and it's the Patriots. Out of all the teams in the world, it's like when DeMarcus Cousins went to the Golden State Warriors, we're all sitting here thinking, really? There's not another team in the league that needed an all-star center? Oh, the Warriors got him on a minimum deal. That's what we're doing right now with Josh Gordon. We take a guy that has the potential of being a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, and he moves over to a team that, honestly, with the discipline and the mentorship and the leadership over in the Patriots, it could be an organization that helps him at least get through the season. And then when you have a guy like Tom Brady throwing the ball downfield to a guy like Josh Gordon, this could be just a magical connection. And nobody wants to see the Patriots do this. Nobody. I mean, unless you live in Boston, this is the worst news that could come out of this whole trade scenario. And there's no way that I don't know. There's no way this ends bad for the Patriots. They're good either way. If they have to cut them, they've cut other guys. They cut Eric Decker earlier in the year. They've gone through this carousel of wide receivers. They give them a shot. If they don't pan out, they cut them. They don't care. They still have Gronkowski, and they still have Tom Brady throwing it to Chris Hogan and Danny Amendola and whatever.
Well, Amendola's not there. You're thinking of Edelman.
Oh yeah, Edelman.
But yeah. So come week 5, Tom Brady can decide. Do I want to throw it to Gronk this time? Josh Gordon this time, or Julian Edelman this time? I don't know. It's so many options. And if you're a defense, who do you cover? Who do you cover now? If you have to cover Josh Gordon, Edelman, or Gronk, you can't double team Gronk anymore. You're gonna have to keep your eye on Edelman, what he's doing in the slot, and then you have to worry now. You got to worry about Josh Gordon burning you deep, taking the top off of the defense. Like the underneath route or the over the top route is gonna be wide open, either or. Like you can't defend him now.
You know what you do if you're playing against that, and you're playing against Gronk and Josh Gordon and Tom Brady? You pull Avonte Davis. You go in at halftime and you just say, peace, I retire, I'm done, I'm out of here. This isn't worth it. I got my $5 million bonus for being on the team for at least one game, I guess half a game, whatever that was, and I can't do it anymore. Are you kidding me? I gotta cover these guys? No, peace, I'm out. The only guy crazy enough to even attempt that is Jalen Ramsey because he likes to talk trash and he thinks he's Superman. But any other team, man, they're done. Absolutely done with that dynamic presence. And hopefully Josh Gordon pulls it together. I mean, I think everybody's been wanting to see this guy get clean for a long time. All of his personal drama and the tragedy that is addiction that has overwhelmed and shadowed his career for a very long time. And maybe he can pull out of it. I mean, I think I'm rooting for the guy because I don't want to see that happen to anybody. But I'm not rooting for him to do it on the Patriots, unfortunately. I'd rather him do it somewhere else. My Washington Redskins, they pick up Michael Floyd and Rashad Perryman this week. It's not a big story. They're not flashy guys. They need to add wide receiver depth. I guess they didn't want the headache of Josh Gordon, or they didn't want to give up the draft picks, so they went out and picked up free agents. But I would have loved to at least taken a shot on a guy like Josh Gordon, see what Alex Smith can do throwing to him. The Cowboys, they could use some help at wide receiver. I don't want to see them do well, but they didn't even want to touch the guy. So maybe New England was the only team willing to really put some draft picks out there. I mean, a 5th rounder is not much, and with it being protected, I think it drops to a 7th round pick if Josh Gordon isn't playing. And either way, they get something out of it. Man, I don't know. It's like almost depressing when you see these juggernauts continue to just get more and more ammo. And they've owned the AFC. The Patriots have owned the AFC, and we don't need more weapons on the Patriots.
No, not at all. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. I hope he does well too, and nobody is to blame but all the other 31 NFL teams who didn't pull the trigger or didn't give a better offer than what the Patriots were willing to give. Because again, a 5th-round pick for a possible top 5 wide receiver signed me up yesterday. Like, I don't know, but I'd also hate to be the fantasy owner who cut Josh Gordon on Tuesday, who's like, man, this guy's missed 2 weeks in a row. I'm done with this guy, and cut him. And then they find out that he's going to have Tom Brady throwing him footballs, and now he has to join the waiver wire to get him back.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. On the fantasy side, like, why would you do that? You ride that guy till the end, but there's somebody out there that cut him, and they're regretting it today.
Man, that guy that scored 56 points this week and saw Josh Gordon sitting on his bench with 0, he cut him. That guy cut him.
Yeah. Oh, big time. Big time. Yeah, he's like, I need to pick up the next waiver wire wonder. Let me cut Josh Gordon and get some guy that had one fluky game. Why not? So last night was a Monday Night Football game. I don't even think we really dove into this. Bears against the Seahawks. Now, this seemed like it was more of a defensive struggle or a defensive battle and a struggle for these offenses. But I did want to just point out one UCF legend, Shaquille Griffin, picks off Mitchell Trubisky 2 times, gets 2 interceptions. Now, our boy Shaquem is not playing that much. You had sent me a text last night. Well, like, why is Shaquem not out there? Now, I don't know if you heard the story, but they picked up Mikael Kendricks, the guy that was cut by the Browns that's insider
jail
trading.
Time. Yeah, the guy that's facing jail time.
Yeah, so he's starting over Shaquem Griffin. So I kind of soured a little bit on the Seahawks. They brought in a guy now. Mikael Kendricks last night gets a sack, played really well. Shaquem didn't get a lot of playing time. I think he had only 1 total tackle in the entire game. I don't know how many snaps he played, but I hope Shaquem gets back out there. Maybe as soon as this other guy goes to jail for his white-collar crimes, we can go ahead and get Shaquem back in that starting lineup where he belongs. But Shaquille had a great game with 2 interceptions. But the real story here, the Bears defense, Khalil Mack, worth every penny to you, Chris America? Is he worth it?
Oh, but I mean, have you watched them play outside of the 4th quarter when, Aaron Rodgers turned into Aaron Rodgers? That defense has looked unstoppable. If we're talking about how are you going to stop Tom Brady and his weapons, well, one of the ways you stop Tom Brady is a pass rush. He can't throw the ball to these wide open receivers if he's too busy running around like a chicken with his head cut off. So I think he's worth every penny of it. It works for them because they do have Mitchell Trubisky under a rookie contract. So they got a couple of years to where they can pay Khalil Mack and not feel the effects of that. But he's by far, he's come out, and I think the fact that the Raiders didn't want to pay him and the Raiders traded him, I think he's come out with a chip on his shoulder. You like seeing a lot of people say, oh, once you get your money, you're gonna not play as hard anymore. Well, Khalil Mack has put that myth to rest. He's been playing lights out. He's been playing with one of the highest motors I've seen in a really long time, and I like it, man. I like watching the Bears now.
Yeah, the Bears defense, fun to watch. They have 6 sacks last night. Khalil Mack getting one of them. Ton of pressure all night. Russell Wilson looked like he was just under attack the entire night. He was scared for his life for most of the plays. He ends up throwing a pick 6 to Prince Amakamura. And, the Bears defense wins this game for this team. The offense wasn't bad, but the defense won this game for this team. And I think the Bears, they're going to go back to that old 85 Bears style where they are a defensive-minded team. Their defense is their identity, and the leader of that defense is Khalil Mack. And I'm with you, man. Worth every penny of that giant contract. This guy came out, and he's leading this defense. They are all following suit. It's not just him. It's an entire defense of great players coming together that needed that one leader to unite them, and Khalil Mack is that guy. So I am excited to watch some Bears football, and I never thought I would say that.
Now, I do want to go back to that Michael Kendrick story. I'm usually side on the player side. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but something that Booger McFarland said during the game just really stuck out to me and made me think, what is the NFL doing and what are the Seahawks doing? At one point, I think he got a sack. I think you mentioned he had a sack. When he had the sack, Booger McFarland said, this guy's facing jail time, and he's playing with such fire right now. It's unbelievable focus, how he can focus on the game when he's facing jail time. And he said it almost like in a positive light, like this guy's facing cancer, or this guy's dad just died. Like, we're supposed to feel sorry for him. No, like, think about what you just said, Booger McFarland. We're talking about a guy who's active on an NFL roster who just got convicted of a crime, whether that's domestic abuse or insider trading. It doesn't matter. He's still committed a felony, and he's facing jail time. Luckily, my kids are already in bed and stuff, and I'm not normally one of those people that's like, oh, what about the kids? But I don't want to have to explain to my son why a football player who's facing jail time is out there making millions of dollars and everything's okay in life. I don't want to have to explain to him why a football player who faces jail time gets to still go out and make millions of dollars while he needs to follow the rules and do well in school and everything else. It was a bad sound. It was a bad sound bite to hear last night in the NFL.
Yeah, and I usually like Booger. I think Booger's a great guy, but man,
and it wasn't really Booger's fault. It's just the reality of the situation that was set to it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And maybe we're a little numb to it because a lot of these guys get in trouble. I mean, it's everybody's in the NFL, not everybody. There's a lot of players in the NFL are just bad guys that get in trouble.
98% of the players are great guys, but there is that 2%, and we don't need that 2% in the league. The league will be fine without the 2% of players who can't keep their heads out of their own you-know-whats.
100% agree with you. Well, Chris America, it's been another great show. You have any parting comments?
Don't put your head up your you-know-what, kids, or you'll end up facing jail time and making millions of dollars in the NFL.
Peace. We're out of here.
Yeah, man. It was a good game last night.
Yeah, I hope they don't catch me for insider trading.